Hello, this is Dylan with the Embroidery Warehouse, and I'm going to go over a few things to check that might help with the issues you're experiencing. So in the video I can see that it looks like the thread is not cutting fully. It could be a few reasons to that, and I'll go over those options. But what we're going to look at today is going to be the picker. We're going to remove the needle plate and inspect the knife area. And then we'll be removing this cover to inspect the thread grabber mechanism. And lastly, we'll inspect the thread holder and make sure that's in good position to where this thread grabber moves freely. So starting with the needle plate, I just take a flathead screwdriver and come behind the head, behind the hat plate, and I'll get it angled right and loosen these. Now, if you have the 90-degree tool where it's a small bar like this, but it has the flathead tool facing straight down in a 90-degree angle to rotate those screws, that helps a lot better. Now, when you get to this point and the needle plate is off, if you could send me a photo of what it looks like. We want to make sure that the position of the knife is correct, as well as any debris that could get in the way. Sometimes needle tips do cause damage to a blade if it wasn't closed all the way on the bottom portion. So we just want to inspect that, make sure it's in the correct position. Now, if I let the machine return the knife without any computer sensors or the machine on, it returns to a point that's too far. What's actually a good position for your needle, or excuse me, your knife, is going to be basically as soon as you see this flat point right here, and then the tip, you see that reach and meet like that. If it's setting too far back after you cycle a trim like this, then we might have to make some adjustments towards the back of the machine, as well as we just want to check to make sure the knife and the trim mechanism itself is all clean and clear. And then as we look in this area, we can rotate the main shaft in the back and look and feel for any scratches or burrs, is what they're called, where flakes of metal stick out, and we'll feel in the area that looks like this, as well as this area, and just make sure to check basically if we need to consider that hook replacement. Once we've verified this information, we can move on towards the next portion, which would be removing this panel here. In that case, you would just need a Phillips screwdriver. Excuse me, that's not a Phillips. And the 2 screws to remove from here. So what we're going to be checking is the mechanism that moves that grabber. It's a type of motor that has plastic gears on the inside here, which moves an actuator that moves down in this motion, like a C motion, which then in turn pushes this down. Now, what we want to see is when I'm pushing on the back here, clean movement in this return, just to make sure this basically doesn't have too much tension, or just assuring that this is straight and was okay during shipment. So once you verify with me that this moves freely and smoothly, we can check what's down here is that thread holder. So in this case, you can see this one does not have the screw. This is kind of like our just like parts machine. So there should be 2 screws here, and they're just tightened down by a Phillips. and they're on each side. So what I recommend to some people is loosening this lower one just ever so slightly. And what you do is go through each needle, and you can send and return this guy back and forth, just to make sure that this isn't misaligned to where it's causing resistance against that grabber. So if I did it one way or another, it could be up higher on this side and lower on that side. So it's good to just make sure that this is even and straight, and with every needle that this, you can push it all the way down and it returns. Now you can press the trim, but that could just increase more resistance as you're going and adjusting. So what I like to do is just do it by hand like this, just so I can make a good check. So when you're doing these checks, you'll want to make sure you have your bobbin removed and no thread in the needle. That way nothing builds up down here while you have the needle plate off. Now lastly, for the picker area, essentially you just want to make sure that your picker is returning at a steady and even spring back like that. And essentially you want to make sure it's pretty much center on with that hook center pin where the bobbin would go. And then make sure that on your forks here, there aren't any burrs like we mentioned that's on the hook as well.